Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. For most people, a 7 hour long haul flight is just a cramped, necessary evil to get from point A to point B. But for aviation enthusiasts, us av geeks, the flight itself, that's the main event. Today, we're unpacking a really comprehensive review of Etihad Airways' Boeing 787 Dreamliner. We're going to find out what it's genuinely like to fly from the Middle East straight into the heart of Catalonia. So what takes a 7 hour flight from just bearable to an absolute paradise for aviation lovers? Well, rather than dreading the long haul, our source material reveals how the right aircraft and the right airline can make the travel the literal highlight of the trip. Look, if you've ever stepped off a plane feeling completely exhausted and dried out, you know how grueling flying can be. But as we'll see today, when you combine a modern wide-body jet with thoughtful service and an unbelievable departure airport, that entire narrative completely flips. Here's how we're breaking down this 7 hour journey. We're going chronologically, starting way early with a 3:30 a.m. arrival, then moving through boarding, the cruise phase, and finally, our descent.
Section 1. Pre-flight at Zayed International.
Okay, so the adventure kicks off ridiculously early. We're talking 3:30 a.m. inside the gorgeous glass-walled Zayed International Airport. Seriously, if you head straight to those massive terminal windows, it is an absolute feast for AV geeks. The source notes that in just 30 minutes, you can spot Etihad's own A350s and Dreamliners, plus heavy hitters from Air France, Lufthansa, Turkish Airlines, and Qatar Airways. And let me tell you, watching that morning golden light bounce perfectly off Etihad's champagne-colored livery, it is a photographer's absolute dream.
Section 2. Boarding the 787 Dreamliner.
After what is described as a super efficient boarding process, you step onto the 787, and this is where the magic really happens. This hits the nail on the head regarding why frequent flyers absolutely obsess over the Dreamliner. On older planes, you're fighting for armrests while breathing that dry, standard cabin air, which just leaves you totally zapped. But the 787, it's a massive technological leap forward. You're getting significantly larger windows, way better humidity, and a lower cabin altitude. That means your body is literally taking in more oxygen. It's a quieter, smoother ride that actively fights off jet lag. Moving on to Section 3, the economy cabin experience. Now, stepping into the economy cabin, Etihad really skips the over-the-top flashiness. Instead, they go for this understated sophistication. Lots of calming beige, gold, and bronze tones. When you sit down, you're looking at a seat pitch of about 31 inches. Now, I know what you're thinking. 31 inches isn't the absolute largest in the industry. But when you combine that with the thick, ergonomic cushioning on these newer seats, it actually provides a really comfortable foundation for a 7 hour journey. And honestly, it's the attention to detail that makes that 31 inches of space work so incredibly well. Even in economy, you've got everything you need to settle in right at your fingertips. There's an adjustable headrest, crucial for getting some actual sleep, plus USB and full power outlets so your devices don't die mid-flight. Add in a snazzy modern touchscreen and a personal reading light, and you're good to go. Which brings us to Section 4, service, food, and entertainment. As those powerful GE engines spool up for a spectacular takeoff over the Persian Gulf, the flight transitions seamlessly into cruise mode. Now, Etihad offers plenty of Hollywood blockbusters on those sharp screens, but let's be real, for an av geek, absolutely nothing beats the beloved moving flight map. Just sitting back and watching that little digital aircraft icon slowly cross from one continent to another, it's practically mesmerizing, right? And watching the aircraft trace its path across the map really gives you a sense of the sheer scale of this journey. You list off from the UAE, cross the vast open expanse of Saudi Arabia, pass right over Egypt, and then glide across the beautiful Mediterranean Sea before finally hitting Spanish airspace. It's geographically stunning. About an hour into the flight, the meal service kicks off. According to the explainer, you're getting a surprisingly great meal here, usually a choice between chicken, pasta, or a vegetarian option, complete with sides and dessert. It definitely punches above the weight of standard airline catering. But honestly, the true standout is the cabin crew. The source highlights that their interactions feel genuinely warm, not just strictly scripted, and they make frequent water runs through the cabin. That is an absolute lifesaver on longer routes when you start getting thirsty.
I love this quote directly from the source because it beautifully captures that mid-flight magic. Somewhere over the Mediterranean, the cabin settles into cruise mode. You arrive feeling significantly less fatigued compared to older aircraft types. Picture it. You're sitting quietly, the window shade is up, the flight map is tracking your progress, people around you are dozing off, and there's just that gentle hum of the Dreamliner's engines over the sea. Thanks to the quieter cabin and that advanced pressurization we talked about earlier, your body is actually resting. You are literally absorbing the benefits of modern aviation engineering as you fly.
Section 5. Arrival and Final Verdict. So a few hours later, the descent begins, and man, those massive Dreamliner windows finally pay off in a big way. You definitely want to keep your camera ready for this. The approach over these iconic Catalan landmarks is just absolutely beautiful. Depending on the routing, you might catch crystal clear views of the famous Barcelona beaches, the bustling port, the dense city skyline, and even historic Montjuic Hill. It's basically the perfect visual welcome to Europe. Let's break down the objective AFGeek scorecard provided in the source material. It reveals incredibly high marks literally across the board. The airport experience and the spotting opportunities at Zayed International, perfect 10s. The Dreamliner aircraft itself earns a massive 9.5. Cabin design, entertainment, and service all pull in very solid 9s, with food trailing just slightly behind at an 8. It paints a clear picture of a remarkably consistent premium product. Tying it all together, from that world-class departure in Abu Dhabi to the incredibly comfortable and fatigue-reducing Dreamliner cabin, straight through to the scenic arrival in Catalonia, the final overall verdict for this specific route stands at an incredibly strong 9.2 out of 10. For aviation lovers, it's clearly not just a flight, it's a complete, highly enjoyable journey. Given this fantastic combination of understated sophistication, modern tech that actually fights jet lag, and stellar, genuine service, it really leaves us wondering, is the Etihad Dreamliner the absolute best way to cross continents? The evidence from this explainer definitely suggests it just might be. So, the only question left is, when are you booking your next window seat?